George. We're officially live.
Oh, good evening. Happy Monday, everyone. We are back. We're going to review the Rangers game, Rosenborg, and then practice my Swedish. And I'm being told we'll be talking about the game when we take on Häcken. So hopefully I got that right.
Well done, George.
Yeah. Voulez-vous was a stretch for me. But, so yeah, we'll talk about a couple other points about how we all realise that Caitlin Ford is going to win the Ballon d'Or this season. Also, this show is going to make you twist and shout, so we'll go with that. So yeah, let me introduce you to my guest first. So back again, Andrew. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, delighted to be here. Evening, Gooners. Happy Monday, as you say. Happy draw day as well.
Yeah, Andrew's got a promotion. You don't know this yet. He's the vice captain of the podcast now.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he's shown good signs in training.
Cheers, Gaffer. Appreciate it. Won't let you down.
Yeah, you better not, otherwise you'll be gone.
That is tough love.
Yeah. Jack, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a good week, hasn't it? Really, like
Beth Mead Society fan club are watching.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a bad week on the podcast last week. I didn't even get into some Kyra Cooney cross criticism that I'd talked about previously with other people, and so players have surprised me this week, and I think I'm going to be having to eat a lot of humble pie. I was just saying earlier.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Jack. We appreciate your outtakes for the podcast. Like, we'll take that if it helps build the subs up and gets the views in. Crack on. And the only living legend, Mel. How you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, bro. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I was getting a bit nervous on Saturday. I was like, oh, don't do this to me. I don't like 1-0. But yeah, all good. Looking forward to hopefully the next round of the Champions League, and then I think I should be able to make that. The really annoying thing is, if I really wanted to, I think I could go out to Sweden because I'm on annual leave that week. So I'm thinking. I do like meatballs, and I do like Sweden. So
that's bad. I'm the same, George. I've been looking at flights and hotels and hire cars and all sorts.
Someone was saying on X, obviously. I know everything you read on there is gospel now. But so it's like €60 just to get a flight. I'm like, oh, hold on, that's naughty. If that's €60, the week I get paid, I don't know. Do I just save it? Do I save it when we beat Barcelona in the final? Probably. Not that.
We got the Women's Euros this year as well in Switzerland, of all places. And I know I actually got a message from that Leah Votley Instagram account from Leah herself with a whole list of recommendations and places to visit that looks very impressive. So I might need to save a bit of money for them as well.
Get on the podcast later in the season, mate. Tourist recommendations. So yeah, thanks to everyone watching so far. Please drop your comments and highs and what you thought about the games that have happened in the last week. We'll get straight into that. It's been a bit of a surreal week, hasn't it, Andrew? 2 games in a week at Meadow Park. It's like the good old days.
Gosh, yeah. Well, apart from when the good old days was only the 4 or 5 people turned up, and in these occasions, absolutely rammed. I mean, absolutely shout out, especially in the second game. The fans were immense. I was at home watching it on the stream, but the crowd in that second game particularly were just immense. Absolute shout out, and obviously with the new tune that's going to be. We thought we were going to miss Chloe Lacasse and her song, but no, Cadenti's song's come along, and it's all Chloe Who now. I'm afraid that's a shame. But yeah, brilliant weekend, or brilliant week, should I say? Tapped off with a fairly good draw, I think, as well.
It's like they say, mate. Lyrical geniuses don't sleep. So as soon as one lyric genius or for a song leaves, we have to think of other ones. So credit to those who done the Shake It Cadenti. So was it Alex?
It was indeed Alex. She's got a good track
Shout out,
record with her song recommendations and her stickers, from You Just Being Blackstinius to She's Red, She's White, and now Shake It Caldenti.
Yeah.
That woman doesn't sleep, I swear.
A huge shout out to those, like when those songs get made, when they get made, they stay made. That's the difference. So yeah, Jack, I'll come to you because obviously we'll start with the Rangers game. I was at the game expecting to see Frida playing on the wing because obviously you've got contact with Jonas and poor Beth Mead got dropped to you. So yeah, floor's yours, mate.
To be fair,
Here's your shovel.
I mean, I'm going to have to probably start with Caitlin Ford, right? And actually, I thought Katie McCabe as well, who I know came into some criticism as well. I think both of them on that side just clicked and were magnificent. I think we made what we all expected us to win. We went quite high with a lot of our score predictions as well, but the ease at which they did it, and I think actually in both games, the way that we didn't give them either team a sniff at all for both 90 minutes. And that was something I haven't seen from us before. I've seen us dominate games, create lots of chances, but we've always looked vulnerable on transitions, on the counter-attack, and we look solid. We look really, really solid. Caitlin Ford was absolutely brilliant. I thought Russo played really, really well. I think the midfield, and I'm going to give, obviously, Kim Little, we said 2 years. Having watched both games, I'm giving her another 2 on top of that for 4 years now. And actually, Kyra Cooney-Cross looked magnificent as well in the absolute energy she gave. And she's always been quite a high-energy player, but there was real quality in every move that she was doing, both defensively and defensively. So, I was just completely full of praise for the whole team, actually.
Yeah, it was a very good performance. I'll hold my hands up. I was one of the people who said about Katie McCabe, so I'm glad Katie watches it and put a performance in. So yeah, apologies, Katie. Don't beat me up. But yeah, I thought we played well. Andrew, what did you? Obviously, well, we saw Caitlin Ronaldo play, didn't we? She made Rangers. Well, Rangers made them look very, very poor.
Yes, I mean, it's interesting that switch to the right hand side as well. I'd kind of forgotten that she could play on that right, and it's interesting. She's normally on the left. I think she's normally been like a playmaker. On the right, she was the finisher, and and I think was it the second or the third goal was absolute. It was just a beautiful goal, just so struck with such confidence. But yeah, I think it's given her a new lease of life. I mean, it's going to be interesting now. We've got definitely 3 up front. The 3 sort of wide forwards with Beth, Mariona, and Caitlin. I mean, and the quality there is amazing. So whether, I suppose the question is whether we get whether the fourth one is it going to be Lena, or do we get somebody else? But yes, Caitlin was brilliant, and for all the Caitlin haters, you just got to say who that saying that Caitlin's gone. So that was brilliant. It was lovely to see, and I'm sure it's given her confidence a massive boost. And she's. I mean, what's the betting for her getting the top goal scorer now? I mean, she's 4 ahead straight away for the season, for the Arsenal at least.
37-1.
Oh my God! Are you just pulling that out, or you looked it up?
I checked it after the game. Checked the guy bet to be top goal scorer in the Champions League was 37-1 at the time.
That is good odds.
So I put a $5 on it.
I bet you have.
Basically, what we're just saying is if that comes in, we're all going to the final and George is paying.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But the problem I had with when I put that bet on was after 6 Jaegers.
Yeah.
All the best decisions are made after 6 or 7 or more Jaegers. Yeah.
You're lucky it was
Apparently
only when you put on after 6 Jaegers and not 50.
Oh yeah, yeah. But apparently, when I was looking back, I've also put a tenner on Arsenal to win the Champions League.
Wow, why not?
To be fair, I think I've got a tenner on us to win the Champions League and League double.
Oh
But that
my
was also
gosh.
after. Yeah, the odds are good, and I was feeling pretty good after Rangers.
But yeah, I'll come to you, Mel. Obviously, do you think Caitlin Ford? Obviously, she's going to be fighting for a position now, isn't she? Because you'd think the main three up front, if we play the way that we normally play, would probably be Beth, Russo, and Cadenti, won't it?
Yeah. I think Caitlin looks a lot more comfortable on the right. I think it's probably the most confident I've seen her on the pitch in a long time. And it's almost like she, in those 2 games anyway, playing on the right, she was back to the Caitlin Ford that thought we were going to get when we took her from Portland. Because when she was there, she predominantly played on the right. She wasn't really a left-sided player, and she did for them what she did for us this week. So I think she's put herself in a good position to sort of state her case to play on the right and stay on the right, especially if we're going to be playing Marion on the left. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, especially with Beth coming back off an injury as well. Caitlin's got a bit of a running start there, but I don't grudge Jonas for having that choice to make, because I think regardless of what decision he makes, it's not going to go down well with some people. I'll hold my hands up. I have not been very impressed with Caitlin Ford as of recent, and I've been quite vocal about that. But this week she really, really impressed me. So I'm looking forward to more confident appearances from her, because that's probably the best I've seen her play in an Arsenal shirt since we signed her.
Yeah, I've always been a fan. Obviously, for those who watch the show, no, that is really not true. Before I will give someone a shout out, because if I don't mention it, I won't hear the end of it, and that's Darren Wells. Well done for getting the prediction, for predicting 6-0. It's just a shame you didn't predict 4 Caitlin Ford goals, because then we would have been like getting you on as a psychic. But yeah, also go back to you, Jack, about the game. With the back 4, I think, like we said, it answered itself who was going to play, but was you happy how the Rangers didn't really create much, did they? So apart from
No, I think a lot of credit goes to us for them not creating anything. Yeah. I think every team can be dangerous on the counter-attack. Every time we lost the ball, it was the midfield too of Little and Cooney Cross just swamped any of their attackers. So I thought Cadena and Williamson both looked very, very accomplished on the ball, and I think they probably contributed more attackively than they did defensively in this game. Emily Fox is just an absolute monster. I think she's probably the best fullback in women's football at the moment. Yeah. I'd struggle to see anyone even close to her. I mean, defensively, she's incredible. One-touch passing. The only thing she's missing is goals. And honestly, I won't bet against her now, actually ending up with about 5-6 goals for the season as well. Absolutely incredible player. And yeah, I think even actually Manu in goal with the ball at her feet looks really accomplished that game. Kept her concentration. Even simple things like they had a few long-range shots, as Mel predicted in the previous podcast, and everything was caught. There was no spillages at all. Everything was comfortable, and I just think that isn't something we often see with Arsenal. So it's hopefully good signs for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Emily Fox, and guys, she's only 5 million on the fantasy game, so
bargain.
I've already looked. Leah Williamson's only 5.5, but yeah. Anyway, I digress. We'll come to fantasy stuff for another show. Andrew, so this is a really hard subject, but obviously Cadena and Williamson have been putting a partnership together. Are you? Well, surely as Gooners, we've got to be really happy with having, say, them two and Lotta, and I would probably say Katie Reid. So there's not saying that they're all as good as each other, but Cadena's definitely starting to put more consistent performance in, isn't she? Would you say you think Lotta has pressure on her position, or do you think still Lotta would just slot back in?
Great question. Yeah, Cody, Laia Cadena has been immense. It was lovely to see her doing the interviews, doing the press conference as well. And she was talking about how she's grown in confidence. She's clearly a very vocal player, and she relies on that communication style of hers. And so, but yeah, those two games, she was great. I mean, absolutely. As Jack was saying, it wasn't the hardest games in the world, but it was a couple of absolutely. There was one, I think it was against Rangers, where she just made such an immense tackle. It was brilliant. But does she start over Lotta against Man City? Well, assuming she's not done anything wrong, it would be a tough one for a manager to say, to leave her out of a game when she's done absolutely nothing wrong. Jonas has got a tough conversation with someone at some point, whoever, when Lotta comes back and is fit. I suppose the only thing is, it wasn't, Man City will be an entirely different kind of kettle of fish than Rangers and Rosenborg were. But it wouldn't surprise me if she kept her spot when Lotta comes back. I thought Cody's been brilliant, and you look at when she first started and how she looked kind of anxious, a little bit nervous on the ball. Now she's communicating with the crowd. She's a great one with the crowd. I think she's going to be a bit of a North Bank kind of hero there. So, but yeah, I think she might be able to keep her spot. Don't know what everybody else thinks.
What I say about Cadena is, Lotta. Mel, I don't know if you agree. She's not featured in loads of pre-season, is she?
No, I think going into pre-season, I don't know if it was Jonas's plan to sort of get in and amongst the team a bit more. Obviously, she said that she came out and said she has been quite nervous the last season, not really speaking a lot of the language is obviously not going to help. But she's had that year now that she's been here. She's settled in, and like Andrew and Jack both said, she's a lot more comfortable. You can tell that both on and off the pitch just by how she carries herself. But I think a lot of picking up that nose injury, whatever it was, with the Batman mask. I don't know if that sort of forced Jonas's hand, because she, with a face injury like that, you can, especially in pre-season, you can't really risk it. Having broken my nose a few times myself, even when it's starting to heal, any header of the ball, you feel that right through your whole face. But yeah, I don't know. It's not a choice I'd like to make if I was in that position again. I think it's to have those three strong options, and even Katie Reid as a youngster coming in as a strong backup. To have to pick between those three religiously week in, week out is not. It's not a fun one. But I would say, do you take Lotta and the fact that she's just played probably the best season of her life? Really cemented herself and was chucked in at the deep end last season and deserved every minute of praise that she got, and she deserves even more in my eyes. Yeah. And you've got Cadena, who's played against not the strongest of teams in pre-season. Obviously, she played against Chelsea, but again, not the strongest of teams. So it's a tough one on what decision you make. There's been a few comments, like Dorian said, that Law will need minutes before playing against Man City.
Yeah.
Which is fair. You can't really chuck her in at the deep end like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Cadena start for the first game of the season.
Yeah, that was what my worry would have been, like, because I think on paper and on their day, Leah and Lotta is the way you go, and with Cadena being a good backup, as a sub, but where she's hardly played, you can't really throw her into. I just think it'd be unfair to throw her into that Man City game. Because that's our next game, isn't it? Or have we got the Champions League one first?
Champions League on the 19th.
First, yeah.
Yeah, so what I'd like to see, if she's fit, is if Lot plays in that. And I think that's when you'll find out who's going to play against City. Because I honestly think the first 11 that will play City will play in that Champions League game. So I don't know what you think about that, Jack.
Well, I mean, I'm a massive Lotto fan. Like the back of my shirt this season, she is the one on the back of it. I think they're very different centre backs. I think Kadina's very quite silky, very good on the ball, really good at sitting deep and mopping up, whereas Lotto's a lot more physical. And I think she's quite a bit stronger, quite good at the dirty side of the game more. And I do think it's going to be a case of horses for courses again with which one you pick. I would probably play it safe if Lotta has the injury, and I know she had a knock towards the end of last season. I don't think Codina's done absolutely anything at all to not play these next couple of games. I do agree with what you guys said, and that it'll probably be Leah and Lotto as the main two centre backs. But whilst you have a centre back in such good form, I'd be happy to keep it as it is. And it doesn't send the best message to the rest of the team if the automatic favourites then jump straight back in as soon as they're fit. I quite like the idea of Caitlin Ford keeping her place on form, Kyra Cooney-Cross staying in midfield on form, and the same with Leia Codina staying in the squad on the starting 11 through form.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. I think Beth will probably start ahead of Caitlin Ford, if I'm honest, for the City game. Just, I don't know. But like you say, it all depends on people's fitness, doesn't it? Do you have any comments, Mel?
We have a few. Darren has asked how I'm holding my scarves up, which I would like to say not quite as glamorous as the rest of the setup. Everything behind me and to my right is held up by drawing pins. So just because it looks good doesn't mean it was done expensive. There's been a lot of comments tonight, I'll be honest. Mark said we were brilliant against Rangers and just as good against Rosenborg and should have definitely scored more in that second game, which I agree with. But, after such a high-scoring game, middle of the week, a win's a win. I'll take 1-0. Catherine said that with Mariona playing on the left, it frees Caitlin up to play wide and almost with so much joy and freedom. She also said that Kyra Cooney-Cross is chaotic but clinical. She's going to be fun to watch during the season, which I agree with. She is chaotic, both on and off the pitch, and I've been thoroughly impressed with her this week. I've been a bit of a honest Kyra Cooney-Cross auntie right now. Just a few about injuries, who we should play instead. Obviously, with Catley being injured, that frees up a space as well. Obviously, probably push Katie back into left back there. I don't really think there's anybody else that could jump in unless something drastic happens to Emily Fox.
Yeah.
Lewis is also in the comments right now trying to start the chat by himself. He's trying to get that Kadina chant going all by himself, which, that's what Lewis does best.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. Just everyone speaking mostly about the games, and Lewis now spamming the comments. The Kadina chant, not the Kadina chant, the Caldenti chant that brought me great joy hearing through the stream on Saturday. Yeah,
it's not good to have you as well, Lewis. Just practice on getting your voice back properly for the Cadenti. It wavers, but the amount that's going to get sung this season, I think you might sound like a bit Sean Dyche, Phil Mitchell. So yeah, funny enough, it was mentioned in the comment. We'll move on to the Rosenborg match. I'll start with you, Andrew. Obviously, I think the team answered itself, but the actual game, I found it a bit frustrating because the amount of chances we had, we should have at least put a good 3 or 4 of them away, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Rosenborg, I mean, there was two things to kind of note about them. Is that's possibly the most structured and disciplined low block I have ever seen. They were so committed, but on the other side of it, there was never any chances. They were, as soon as their player got a ball, who were they going to pass it to? I mean, at least Rangers were pressing with their three forwards, whereas Rosenborg didn't seem to have. And it seemed like their formation was 10-0. And so it was just so crowded that you could we were just and they were in their penalty box. And yeah, I mean our goal came from the keeper making a mistake. So in a way I wasn't worried, but that I can't, I think with the Rangers one, you saw at them after 60 minutes how tired their block got. But with these guys, because there were so many of them, they weren't hardly having to move around to defenders. But yeah, I think I've seen a few kind of whispers about worries about we created a lot of chances, but we didn't perhaps put them away. I think Russo will. She'll sharpen up absolutely. And yeah, actually, Lewis has just mentioned there about the set pieces looking a bit more looking more inventive, and Lewis has also asked to pass on his condolences to Patrick's laminated sheets. So
yeah, I was waiting for the black armband, Lewis. Like, yeah, I agree with that. I think people need to realise as well, like, these Champions League games are important, but they're bang in the middle of a pre-season time as well. So give Russo a bit more time, then we can sing Russo again, Ole, because that works. And I think, like, when you've had a big win like we did against Rangers, and then like the discipline low block, it's just getting the job done, isn't it, Mel? Like, it just doesn't really matter what the score is.
Yeah, 100%. I think Rangers obviously tried to play a low block, but when you're playing with three at the back, as Joe Potter loves to do, it's not the easiest of things. And like Andrew said, after 60 minutes, they were blowing, for lack of a better word. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't expect to beat two teams back to back in such high numbers. That's just 6-0. So we'll take a win. We'll take a draw into the next round, and we'll go to Sweden and hopefully come away with another great result. And we keep pushing for Champions League nights at the Emirates like we had a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it is just about you get the performance done. Like, if you said to me, "Oh, we could win 1-0 for the next couple of games, but be in the group stage," fine, good with that. It'd be a bit more nerve-wracking, but I'll be good with it. Jack, with the game against Rosenborg, do you think they could have changed it a bit more, like, or was you happy with the lineup that we had?
I was relatively happy with the starting lineup, I think, and pretty happy with the performance as well. We created a lot. We didn't look in any trouble at any point. I think probably the only area of criticism is the actual substitutions that came on, and they didn't inject energy into the game. They didn't inject any creativity, and I'm not sure that this is the players who came on's fault either. I think Jonas was making substitutions for substitution's sake, rather than, okay, how can we unlock it? So I felt players were coming on and it was like for like. But yeah, I mean, you take it. We never looked like losing that game. And I don't know if Jonas is ever going to suddenly produce substitutions that change a game. He's always been that type of manager who, if we're losing, will throw as many forwards on the pitch as possible and hope they do something. But the starting 11, you can't complain. I wonder if that game had been played 2 days after it was, if we'd have seen a very different performance in terms of actual goals scored. It was this exact same team that had played a full 90 minutes 2-3 days before. And a little bit of tiredness. You hit the nail on the head pre-season as well. So yeah, you can't criticise the starting 11 or the actual performance too much with that one. And Rosenborg had just knocked out Atletico Madrid, so this was going to be as confident as they could possibly be in what they were doing and their plan. And I think actually, if you compare us to Atletico Madrid, there was a whole new level of professionalism in the way that we dealt with them compared to them.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, they did knock Atletico out as well. I did see, I did see something on Facebook when it was a Rosenborg fan. There must have been a TikTok outside Meadow Park. And so so for those who know, Arsenal fans used to sing boom, 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 let me hear you say Gio. So instead, he was singing bye, 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 let me hear you see Gio.
Oh,
I thought that was
no.
yeah.
That's harsh. That's cold.
Harsh, but funny. Yeah. So yeah. I'll come to you, Andrew. Obviously, Frida scored, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what did you
Yeah.
think about the goal?
It was. I mean, it was. That was a keeper having an absolute howler, wasn't it? Came out. Probably, I don't know. She must have something caught her eye or something. She looked like she was coming to catch it. Then I don't know whether she was coming out to catch it or punch it, but it ended up kind of like it was an old Lucas Fabianski kind of flapped at it and left the defender with just too much work to do. The defender was able to clear it off the line, but Russo were in, and absolute credit to those front two. They were all over it, and then Frida just had an open goal, smashed it in. Yeah, it was the goalkeeper's not had a great moment there. But I can only assume that, like I say, that she must have seen something, caught her eye line, because it seemed she was on her own by the looks of it, and then just made a non-decision, and it was an easy goal in the end.
Yeah. Final point on the game, Mel. I'll come to you. I was quite shocked. I might be wrong, but Rosa Kafaji didn't play at all, did she?
He didn't, no.
So, are you a bit surprised with that?
I don't know. Surprised, unsure, gutted, absolutely, because I think she's class, and I cannot get enough of seeing her on the pitch. But I don't know if it was a tactical decision, if she'd picked up a knock or an injury in training that they didn't want to push. It's one of those things that we're never going to know. There's obviously a reason behind it, and that's the reason that we're never going to find out. However, touching on the Frida goal, I just want to say that there's something about the UEFA Women's Champions League and that theme song that unlocks a different level of Frida. I swear to God, that theme song rise that woman from her grave. Because every time we play in the Champions League, you just get a whole new level of Frida. And if we could get that from her in every game she plays, I think that midfield trio that we have would be very, very dangerous this season.
True.
Yeah, I agree. It slipped my mind about Frida, because she likes to score a big goal in the Champions League, didn't she? To be fair.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the Champions League draw. I will be honest, it happened a lot quicker than I was expecting. I was expecting to look at the draw 2 hours later and they're still playing with the balls and talking about. But that's because I'm used to the men's one. I think they try and do an identity parade and of a bio of every single person in the building before they do it. So that's me getting banned off UEFA's podcast. There you go. So so obviously we've got Häcken from Sweden. I think Rosa knows who they are, slightly, and Stina. So Jack, obviously I know you've covered some European with what you do. What's your thoughts on that draw? Do you think that's is it an easier one, a harder one?
Yeah, it's a tough one here, because firstly, I quite enjoyed the draw. It's nice to see some football, and I think especially in women's football, it's no nonsense. They've taken away the absolute farce of a spectacle that we seem to have in the men's game now on a regular basis, and it was definitely one of the first things that brought me over to women's football. That the fact that it is like watching football back when football was good. As for Häcken and the Swedish league, they're getting stronger, and I think we saw in the Champions League last season what they can do. It's not an easy tie. I'd have us as favourites. I would be very surprised if we get knocked out. These types of teams in Sweden produce a lot of players, but they produce a lot of players early in their career. They have a lot of players later on in their career. And obviously the Swedish national team is a fantastic national team in terms of ability, but a lot of their players don't play in Sweden. I think they're very much a development league still. I think women's football is still catching on there. I know with things like viewership and stuff, it's quite far behind, say, the Italian league, the Women's Super League, and the German leagues. Yeah, I think it's a good tie. I think playing the away leg first, coming back for the home leg gives us a strong advantage. I actually think having Man City in between it as well will work to our advantage, building up match sharpness. It's not going to allow us a time to almost slip off, think about something else. The away leg's going to be tough. If you offered me 0-0 in the away leg, taking it home in a 90-minute one-off game, I would take it, to be honest. I think we can go to Sweden and win, but I would take 0-0. I think if they have to get something at home, whereas we don't have to get something there. But I think it'll be an exciting tie. They've got a couple of talented young players, but no, we should be fine. Touch wood, we should be fine. We've got far more quality than them, and it is actually probably one of the relatively easier ties that we could have come up against.
Yeah, cool. Andrew, I'll come to you because obviously I know you're the stat man. So what? They've got an old Arsenal player as well, haven't they? So, what's your thoughts on it all? And drop us some of the stats that you found out today.
Well, when you say that, kudos to Chris Garrett for doing the research. Is it Ruby Grant, ex-Arsenal, academy player, academy, but he was youth player. That's. I think we've played them a few times when we've played them before with their original iterations when they were Gothenburg. I was looking at the lineups that Chris showed us, and one of the formation that we've got against one of them, it looks like we played only two at the back. We beat them as a Vic Akers one. I'm just looking at names, and from what I could remember, that's I only saw two defenders. It was Gilly Flatty and Alex Scott. But
to be fair, Andrew, with them two, we only probably needed two defenders.
That's true. But I didn't see any of the defenders on the field. There might have been maybe some auxiliary defenders drafted in from the midfield to play back there. But yeah, Ruby Grant's one. I mean, obviously, I suppose the other thing is if any of their players do play well, we'll sign them up anyway. So that's what we'll do with Häcken anyway, referencing Stina and Rosa. So good point there that Lewis and Dorian have just mentioned. I think it's an artificial pitch. Yeah, I thought they might play on grass because it's not. It shouldn't be. It's not too cold there right now. It's in the south of Sweden, so but yeah, boo for the for that. But there you go. But yeah, that's Chris Garrett did all the work on that, and he did a lot more that I've forgotten.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris, as well. Everyone's info's really helps. So please drop your thoughts about the draw into the chat. I won't say in the group, but you can drop them there if you want. But for tonight, drop them in the chat. Mel, what's your thoughts on the draw? Obviously, we've just found out with the artificial pitch. But that's made me do an absolute blind person eye roll. I don't know if that's a thing, but it is now. I hate artificial pitches.
Yeah, I absolutely detest artificial pitches. I think if you're a team that consistently plays on artificial pitches, then you love artificial and you hate grass. But if you're a team that's constantly playing on grass, you love the grass, you hate artificial. It's just such an unforgiving surface. The ball takes the most heinous of bounces. It's just, there's something about it. Like I personally play on both grass and artificial, and I always feel that I have a better game on grass, but that's just because I like sliding on people. But yeah, I don't know. Like the draw, I didn't really mind who we got, if I'm honest. I know that there was a few of my friends, especially Hannah, who really wanted us to get Häcken. She loves Sweden, as we all know. She loves Stina Blackstone, and she's got that number 25 tattooed on her arm. So, any excuse for her to go to Sweden. To be fair, she actually said on Wednesday to us that if we get through, we're going to Sweden. And I was like, okay, girl, I'll believe you. And she was right, so I can't judge her on that one. But yeah, to be fair, and going into the draw, I would have taken anyone, if I'm honest. There's not really. I know a lot of people didn't want us to get Paris and more flashbacks to last year and whatever, but we had a different team last year and they had a different team last year, so it's always the unexpected that you don't really know what you're going to get going into these Champions League. But if we play the way that we did this week, then I think we could easily progress through to the next round. And if we don't now, you can all hold this against me.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you mentioned about Hannah being sort of a Stina fan. It's never really meant that any of the meetups, not at all.
No, you'd never tell.
Yeah, it was quite funny because when I went to the game on Wednesday, I funnily bumped up and ended up on the same train as Mel and Hannah. So I was basically walking with assistance through King's Cross, and I had this really loud Scottish voice shouting George, and it was Daisy.
I was going to say that wasn't me.
No, it
There's
wasn't
another
you.
line, Scott, and it's not me.
No, it wasn't you, Daisy. And then the assistant's like, I think he was like, been saying, "Do you know this person?" I thought, well, no, I don't randomly have Scottish women shouting my name through train stations. So yeah, then it was nice to see everyone. But yeah, I remember Hannah saying about going to Sweden, so you'll probably hear Hannah in Sweden.
I'm pretty sure she's already booked her flights and has already begged for work for time off. So,
so there's your answer.
You will heed and see Hannah.
Yeah. So yeah, is there any comments, Mel?
There's a few. Lewis says the window's still open, so we should buy all of their best players to guarantee progress to the next round. But that's the most Lewis comment he could have sent in. Catherine says she wants a clean sheet when we're away in Sweden before City. I think if we win, we'll just build even more confidence going into the City game, which I think is true. I think regardless of the result, we're going to be going into the City game with a lot of confidence. We've had a lot more minutes in the tank than City have, and obviously there's a certain, I'd love to say number 11, but she's taken the number 6 number, which, don't get me started, is disgusting, it's criminal. We're not going there. I'm such a hater of strikers weighing stupid numbers like that, but it is what it is.
No, I actually sent a bone to pick with that because you've just reminded me. So, can someone please confirm what number Daphne Van Donselaar is?
Let me check because I ordered a shirt for Akram. So it's in my Arsenal account.
Because I just want to double check because you could be having a 2-minute George rant coming on now.
Oh my god! Over a number?
Yeah.
Yeah. Goalkeepers wearing stupid shirt numbers as well. Do not get me started.
To be fair, I like Deshaun Dyche 1 to 11. It just subs down to about 16, 17. But
I find 1 to 11 quite boring. I think some players suit a different number. Like some players suit a number higher, 11, but some people just need shot. Case in point, this was a crime. This Tobin Heath 7 was a crime, but you know what? We'll allow it. It's Tobin Heath.
Does someone tell me a number and I don't know if it's true?
Dorian said 14.
No. Right, that's it. Right, you've got it now. Right.
What's wrong with 14?
How the fuck? Sorry, I nearly dropped the F-bomb there as well.
No, you didn't. You didn't nearly. You actually said it.
How can a goalkeeper have number 14? of all the history of what number 14 does, and they give it to
mate.
a goalkeeper. No, have a word. Like, whoever does Arsenal shirt numbers, give your head a wobble, mate. Like,
Yeah.
number 14. Like, next, they're going to say, we're going to buy, I don't know, say we bought. I'm surprised they didn't give Russo number 1. Like, no, like, just, no, I'm not having that. I'm sorry, I'm not having it. 14 for a goalkeeper at the minute who's, unfortunately, just not going to play every week. So, like, no, sorry, no, 14 nearly as bad as having Viviana Miedema at number 6. Just not. I'm sorry. I know it's probably everyone's probably laughing and thinking, oh, he's gone off on one again, and it's not a proper argument to have. But number 14 for a goalkeeper, it's like having number 10 for William Gallas. Oh no, we've done that as well, didn't we? No, just cut. Sorry, can't have it. As my quick rant as I did to this, Jack, what do you think about having 14 for a number 2 goalkeeper?
I mean, I'd love to hear from Daphne what her reasoning is behind the number 14. Did she have any say in it? No, I mean, I like 1 to 11. I like very simple. You defend your fullbacks are 2 and 4, 2 and 3 often. Centre backs 4, 5. Defensive midfielder 6. Creative player 10. Striker 9. Your wingers 11 and 7. And if it does that, I can sleep at night.
They don't even help. Like, they're trying to ruin the flow of songs. Like, you can't really change the words from 24 to 14. Daphne, saving shots. Daphne,
no.
They don't work. No, they just. I think they've got jealous. They know how good the Arsenal fans have been with Son. So they thought, hold on, we'll mess them up. We'll change the words or change their numbers. Andrew, what do you think?
I don't give a shit. I really don't care. It's just a number. Score a goal.
I don't mind about numbers, but like 28's my limit. You know what I mean? Like players wearing 99. Lewis says Buhari 86. You will never be forgotten. The most diabolical signing we've ever made. To be fair.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's just something about. It's like having a centre back wearing number 11. You can't do it.
That's really wound me. I might even have to put it on X. That's wound me that up so much.
George, are you on your own, or have you got someone with you? Because I feel a bit concerned.
We're gonna have to talk him down.
I might even email Arsenal and say what you're playing at. Like, forget about all your unsuccessful ticket ballot emails. 14 for a goalkeeper. No.
Lewis is now in a pop at Jack as well in the comments, so it's getting personal. Lewis is insisting that wingers have to be number 24. Jack, sorted out. Don't respond. Don't write to him.
But 14 for a goalkeeper. Even like Lewis would probably laughing his head off because he knows what I get like when I go on a rant. But 14 for a goalkeeper. I can't let that go.
Of course, if Daphne just wants to come on the podcast and justify the 14, we're more than happy to hear from her.
That's what I say. Right, Arsenal, anyone watching from Arsenal, come on and justify number 14 for goalkeeper.
What number should she be, by the way? I don't understand. What number should a goalie be?
12. I think 12's okay. I think.
Okay.
Even 22, something like that, but not number 14. I'd rather have number 98. Just no. 14 is not like I just see 14 as Thierry Henry and a strike like not for a goalkeeper. No, just I might need another Jaeger bomb after that. Now
I think you should sit separate and a lie down.
So Mel, obviously, I know you will come to you. I know you are in similar faults with numbers with me. Like we don't think striker should have a number 6. Definitely 14 shouldn't be for a goalkeeper. So, yeah. And just if anyone's watching, I am clarifying that 14 should not be for a goalkeeper. I can't even remember the original point before the 14. How bad it
I actually can't remember.
No, it's the
But-
show. It's
Something about
destroyed the
football,
show.
or I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a comment about the fact that Catherine had a good few facts about City going into the City game.
Yeah.
City didn't score in open play when they were playing in Australia. And her City's first goals of pre-season was their 2-1 victory over Liverpool 2 days ago.
Oh wow!
And Häcken also don't have a game when we play City, so they're going to have a bit of a longer break than us. But sometimes I find that longer break
Yeah,
can do you more damage than anything.
yeah.
Right,
Personally, I just had a full week off, no training, no game on a Sunday, and then we came back and we played the Scottish Cup, and I'm bits. My whole body hurts. Whereas if you let me play 3 games in a week, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, that is
I
the
think if
point.
it was towards the end of the season, the break would suit a team.
Yeah,
But we're right at the start of the season here. Like, it gives us a chance to build momentum more than anything else.
I think the stop start at the start of the season is detrimental to quite a few teams. So I know people bang on about the workload and the game load that we have, but I think, like you're saying, Jack, obviously you need that run of form at the start of the season, and then you get your breaks towards the middle and the end. But yeah, I personally hate stop start.
Yeah. Now I've remembered what I was going to. It's not that far. I basically had to go off the screen and look at my notes because I completely forgot. So we're going to try and sound different because normally we just talk about Arsenal, but I want to talk to you guys about the Man City Paris draw. What are your thoughts on that, Andrew? Do you think City? I don't think City are favourites in that, but I don't know what you think.
I think they are actually.
Yeah, good. That's what we like.
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah. To be fair, out of all the draws, I wanted Paris. I think we owed them something. But it is. But equally, yeah, they're a decent side. I mean, it wasn't just a fluke result against us that they had last year. They did it. They went on a pretty good run in the end, didn't they? Knocked out Wolfsburg.
Beat Wolfsburg.
Yeah. Is Bunny Shaw back? What was her injury at the end of last year?
It was a broken bone in her foot, I believe.
She'll be back. Yeah, well, she'll be back. So,
Yeah.
I mean, going forward, they're really strong, aren't they, City? So I think I think they will have too much for them going that. But it's still a knockout. 2 legs is a little bit more comfortable. So there is that a bit of jeopardy there. But I think Man City will be. Comfortable wins. They might similar to what Jack was saying about they might get a draw away, but I think it'll be a comfortable win for them when they come back home. So, it'd be good if Paris could knock them out. That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it?
Yeah, be good because it'll be back-to-back years that both Manchester teams don't know how to play in the Champions League. So I have to get a dig about Man United in there throughout every. That was the closest I was getting.
I think we could do a whole podcast on Man United and their women's team at some point. I mean, it's crazy what's going on over there.
You thought my #14gate was bad, so wait till that happens. That could be the trend, the hashtag for the show, #14.
Poor Daphne.
Yeah. What, Jack? I'll come to you. So, obviously, we know it's been a lot of talk about the way the Champions League draws are set out. There's been a lot of stuff that maybe it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Obviously, Man City versus Paris is a big game in that qualifying round, isn't it? Like, do you agree with what people say about the format, or do you think the format's okay as it is?
Well, I think firstly, I was hoping we were going to draw Paris, so I was a little bit disappointed. I've got some quite good friends in Paris who I've not seen in a fair while, so I was, for selfish reasons, hoping we were going to get them, and a nice away day in Paris would have been quite good. I've covered Paris FC for a lot this season for work, and I've done a lot of their pre-season games. I did a lot of their games towards the end of last season, and they are no mugs at all. They are a really attacking, progressive team. They play good football. And I reckon in women's football, they are the best team in Paris at the moment. I would put them above Paris Saint-Germain. I think they're going to have a really good season this year. I don't think they're going to be able to topple Lyon. I still think Lyon are the best team in France, although they're undergoing a little bit of change at the moment. So if you said to me at the end of the season, Paris FC have won the league, from what I've seen in pre-season and from a lot of the noise coming out of French women's football, I would not be surprised. I think Man City will clinch it just. I think they'll scrape through, but they're going to have to be at their absolute top of their game. And they've got to settle on a team as well, which I think might well be their biggest issue this season. They've got so many attackers, but they've got so many individual attackers. I'm not sure if they've got an actual way of playing up front in the way that we have. We might not always like all the attackers we've got, but they fit into a format. You know why they are there and why they're playing that way. As for the format itself, I'd have liked maybe an extra day's rest in between the two games, but I've enjoyed it. I think women's football, my one criticism is the amount of international breaks there is. So actually getting to see Arsenal back to back, knowing that it's coming again, I've really enjoyed it. We've not really had any great injuries from it either. I don't think. I don't know if anyone wants to correct me, but I don't think we've picked up any injuries in either two games.
Nope.
No, I don't think. Not that I can think of.
No, it's start of the season, and it's difficult. I think it makes not finishing first or second a real problem for teams wanting to get into the Champions League group stage, and it is so massive to get into that group stage as well. But it's proper competitive cup football, and I think it's only good for the game. I love it as a fan, and I think actually a lot of the injury and the scheduling issues in the game are not to do with the Champions League format, but to do with other issues that are separate from it. And I think just as fans, we should sit there and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we're going to look to do a podcast, like maybe during the international break, about international football and its heavy overload stuff. So that'd be a good one to get your thoughts on. Mel, before we wrap up, what's your views on Paris City?
I don't know, if I'm honest. If I'm being very honest, I don't know. Catherine had a very good point in the fact that she wants Paris to put them to bed, which I agree. I would love to see Man City get battered, mainly because of how much uproar there was on Twitter when they put us out. But if City do advance, it puts them in the same position as us with scheduling the Champions League, and it also goes towards the UEFA coefficient for the English teams. But yeah, I'll take either result. If they lose, if City lose, I get to laugh in their faces. It's great. If City win, and then a couple of months down the line, their players are in the press moaning that they're tired and there's too many games and that, then suck it up, deal with it. You're playing with the big boys now. You have to get used to it. But yeah, I'll watch the game, but the outcome of it doesn't faze me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, fair point. So yeah, that is the show. So thank you to everyone who's commented, been in the chat. Really helps. It's really good to get your points of view on stuff as well. Remember, please hit that like button and the subscribe button. It really helps, like with utilising the chat with the All Sports Bar Cafe as well. Just want to thank my guests. Jack, thank you as always. Been really good.
Thank you very much. It's a good night to do this tonight after the great two games before. So I was very much looking forward to tonight's one.
Yeah, it's been good. I was looking forward to it as well. Andrew, great as always, mate.
Cheers, Gaffer. Thank you.
Yeah, and Mel, thank you. Show wouldn't be able to go ahead as much and be as produced as well as it is if it weren't for you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Like Jack said, it's been a very exciting week for football. Obviously, 2 big Arsenal results, and then really topped off with the really sad Alex Morgan retirement announcement, which is obviously why I'm repping the Alex Morgan talk today. But obviously, losing a footballing great, but it's part and parcel. But it gives somebody like Emily Fox the chance to step up and be the face of the US women's national team now.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say that thanks to Jonesy as well, who helped set up the show. So support's always appreciated. We will be back next week where we'll preview Man City, I think, then. So yeah, keep posted. Losing track of the days, really. Keep posted. Please give us a follow on Twitter. And you never know, you might see Arsenal featuring on here talking about shirt numbers. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely rest of the week. Remember, keep safe and be kind to each other. Good night.